I always tell people, you know what the most important thing is in any cold email system? It's not the subject line, it's not what's in the body. It's the name that it's coming from. Because if Enzo emails me, I'm going to open it because I'm like, that's my boy Enzo.
I think LinkedIn is today what Instagram was like 5-6 years ago. I still think we're just getting started. And you need to get on a train right now, because like in 5 years from now, it's going to be completely different. It's going to be hard to get traction.
You helped Hormozy on his last book launch, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, on the cold email part.
Who can send us the most people showing up to the book launch? I'm like, okay, let's do it, guys. And to give you the idea, so that was 5 weeks, and I started at like number 12 worldwide. After the first week, I climbed to number 1 worldwide at the last 3 days.
I have a one email in Smart Lead / Instantly, and this one email I've sent to it's got a 2% reply rate. Not the best. However, of that, I'm a one-man show. I've set up in the past 4 weeks 136 meetings.
Are you looking for a job? I'm hiring, man.
What do you think about this Gmail and drama that's going on? If you go on LinkedIn, it's like the world is ending, my man.
100%. Right now, it's kind of crazy. And people maybe that know there were organizations sending over, I think 5,000 emails daily will face potentially blocking starting in Q1 2024 if complaint rates are too high. And when we talk about complaint rates too high, we're talking about 0.3% of spam rates. We're talking about like 3 email out of 1,000. So it's going to be extremely hard. And on top of that, you have to follow certain guidelines and requirements. For me, I think it's kind of symptomatic for larger trends. The whole predictable revenue playbook is just dead. There's too many tools. I have to optimize for volume over relevance. And outreach has become a daily interruption and even an annoyance. I experienced it myself, and not just so much insight like it used to be. And if you think about the overall, game when it comes to cold email, that you either do it for like big enterprise events for like cold email agency, you could get started for a couple of $100 with an Apple account, because the cost of data will increasingly become cheaper over and over with time. It's the same thing for email sequencer, and the same applies to email finder, verifier. So now we have inboxes that completely overwhelm, and buyers aren't responding to cold outreach like before. So it's big trouble for many sales team relying on high volume outbound messaging, Now, what does it mean for the future? I think for sure, and we're both on the same kind of WhatsApp dark chat group. We know what's going on
in the pirate email group.
In the pirate, shout out to Jesse, and all the crowd. It means that email infrastructure is soon going to get expensive. Even the traditional mailbox, the Google policy won't be applied to the domain, but also to the IP address. And IP and domain reputation are tracked separately. So in the traditional model that we used to know, you mostly only care about your domain reputation. If you wanted to get a little fancy, you host your domain on Cloudflare, and then you were using Photoly for your warm-up, you had a good margin. But now, each ESP has their own algorithms. Some prioritize domain reputation over IP, some prioritize IP reputation over domain, and some have a balanced score between IP reputation and domain reputation. On our end, I will tell you, in our agency, we're considering building our own custom servers in the long term. But I'll tell you, our top priority right now is building our own private warm-up network with our own private IP pool.
Wow. So it almost sounds, and then for those people that listen to this or that are listening, I'll give them some context, because I'm so curious. I was just like, all right, let's get into those thoughts. But basically, they released this email or outreach sent an email on Gmail restrictions, and the Gmail restrictions that were put in place on that are going to be put in place on February 1st, 2024, is that if you have 0.3% of emails that you send out, which is 3 emails out of 1,000 emails get marked as spam, they will lock your accounts, right? And I don't know what that means. Does that mean like you just can't send anything, or you literally can't log in?
From our experience, that you cannot log in, and don't even bother sending an email to Google asking them to open it. Like at this point, just even us, we don't even bother trying to save Google domains. We're just buying another one. Just don't waste your time. Just buy new domains. it's gonna be a tough one, and
Yeah.
therefore, but it's just a good thing, you know. It's like everything. It's just that there is a bunch of people that came up trying to make quick money with cold emails, and you know, now we have this vague restriction, and just the stronger gonna adapt and gonna survive. It's always been like that. If you think back then, it was about the cost to get started. Now everything is cheap. Now it's about AI personalization and how you can make sure that your message is ultra relevant. And now that everybody can access to AI personalization, it's coming back to deliverability. Always vagues of you know challenges coming our way. We always think that we're on the brink of destruction and cold email is never going to work again. But you know, I think we're still going to thrive and be able to land in a primary inbox. And yeah,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
have to weather the storm.
It and you said something interesting, which is like, you know, we're in that email pirate group, and which is awesome, and we're all, you know, talking about like the different ways we're trying stuff and focusing on email. But you said something interesting, which is like email was kind of like or setting up email and sending a bunch of cold emails was almost like, you know, a couple clicks, right? Is kind of how easy it got. And you mentioned that the big thing that's coming is going to be infrastructure on this, right? And it's almost like you're going to have a whole team dedicated just to email like deliverability. Like it's crazy,
100%.
right?
And
Yeah,
that means that, and if you take time to look into it, email code email becoming more and more technical. Like it's actually,
yeah.
you need to have like, you need to play with API, you need to understand networks, you need to understand IP, you need to understand spam filters. Like I was chatting with one of my partner earlier, like we were literally considering hiring like a head of deliverability, just maybe just somebody just making sure that we land in the inbox. So now it's a constant work and just trying to get ahead of what's happening.
Yeah, and I think too, like, well, I was early at Outreach, right? So I was early. We helped create the machine, whether that you think that's good or bad, right? But what you know, the way I think about it is, even like what 4 years ago, 5 years ago, yeah, we would have customers. I mean, big customers I won't name, but like big B2B SaaS companies we all use every day reach out and be like, why is this going to spam? What's happening? What are we doing? And like none of us really had answers, right? Like no
Yeah.
one freaking knew. Like we were like, I don't know, like dude, ask Gmail, right? We were like, we have no idea, man. Like, um, and so that's not going to fly anymore, man. Like that's going to be a whole like you almost if you are touching email as a service provider, like an Outreach or a Sales Loft or a Groove or whatever, like I think they're going to have this head of deliverability, just like you mentioned, right? And they're going to almost have to have their pod or it's like an engineering squad almost to figure out like, hey, what do we do about this? Do we spin up our own custom, you know, like servers? Like, what are we doing? Or they'll hire some people like you, right? Which is gonna be good for business for Enzo, right? Enzo and team. So, which is great, man. So
Which is great. But at the same time, I'll tell you that even on our end, we can anticipate that we're gonna have to buy more domains at some point, just to balance the volume that we want to do. Because right now, I'll tell you that on average, we send between 40 to 45 email per inbox per day. We're actually considering going even lower than that, because realistically speaking, what human beings send 45 emails per day? It's kind of high when you take time to think about it. And we have to keep thinking that maybe it's just too high. Maybe we just have to go lower. Maybe we just have to adjust the warm-up ratio. Even on the warm-up side, most tools right now that part of email sequencer always have a 2 email sequence. Now we're considering like maybe we should, that's why we're thinking about getting our own warm-up network. Maybe we should have longer threads of emails going maybe through 5, 6, 7 emails, just because it needs to look like an actual human is having a conversation, you know? And domain's reputation is just unpredictable. So the more we can mimic human behaviors, the more we actually probably have better deliverability overall. And that's kind of the whole mindset we're trying to keep in.
Yeah, and for those that listen to this, something I want to call out too is like a tactic that the email gurus are using today that me, Enzo, Jesse O, shout out to Jesse again, he's amazing. What we're doing is we're basically buying a number of domains related to our main domain. So like my main domain is distribute.so, right? However, I'm not sending emails from distribute.so because that is my main domain. I don't want to burn that domain. So what I and others are doing is we're buying domains associated with distribute, like getdistribute.com or trydistribute.xyz. And we're buying tens, sometimes even hundreds of these domains, and even in only sending about 50 emails per one of those domains. But now I think this is a good transition, Enzo, to like, dude, what is your ideal cold email stack right now?
I'm biased. My life. I'll tell you honestly. Most
Yeah.
of a stack in our agency is like the main motherboard is Clay. Clay is just the tool.
Clay. Okay.
Oh, we totally addict to Clay. Shout out to Veron. But their tool is insane. And for those that don't know, Clay is just kind of where we can have an entire workflow created from start to finish. Like you have 50 plus database integrated within their tools. You got email verifier, like cleaner. You can just pretty much everything in Clay. So that's kind of what we use to like create our own workflow. We can do our personalization within it. It's just better to have Clay than have like an item, like, a couple of workflow and trying to like figure out what's break and what doesn't break. Clay it's more expensive, but just such a great tool. And we cannot just recommend it more enough.
Yeah, and Clay is like almost Airtable, but for like data, right? Like that's kind of the way I would describe it. Like it. Am I wrong in that, or like how would you?
No. I think it's the same thing as Airtable, but all the tools that you would purchase on the side, well, they're all integrated within your Airtable, so you can enrich whatever you need within your table. You can use ChatGPT from it. You can use your favorite. You can use LinkedIn through your through your Clay directly. You can do search on LinkedIn directly from your Clay table. You can look at company that have like similar industries. You can just do everything from it, which is a completely wild tool. Totally recommend it. It's crazy what you can do with Clay right now.
So basically you just get a whole data set of people you want to go outbound to, right? Or you want to reach out to via cold. And then instead of manually having a rep go personalize everything and then hit send, ChatGPT does it all for you. And then you integrate it with like, let's go to the next piece of this. You integrate it with Smart Lead or Instantly, and I'm sure you're biased towards one or the other.
Smart Lead it is. Vaibhav is your guy. Such a good tool. Are we staying within the pirate? The pirate, but Smart Lead is our favorite tool. Just such a robust tool, though. We are Smart Lead for that, for email sequencing. To be honest, they have also a great community on Slack. And we enjoy chatting with them, so we're pretty much big fan of Smart Lead. I'll tell you that for email sequencer to get data, because Clay is great to build workflow, but you're not going to use your Clay credit to actually get data from that. So we're still using like Apollo for most of the stuff. We have custom scrapers for Google Maps and certain directory. And we also use like Crunchbase and Harmonic for more like SaaS, B2B, SaaS type companies we're going after.
Nice. And then those integrate with Clay, or no? You're basically scraping those
on the side? No. We're scraping them on the sides. We're just using a webhook and just pushing them into our Clay table.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So webhooks from there. And then so Clay's managing like your rows of data in terms of your prospect data, right? Or account data, whatever it is. You're taking that, you're pushing it into Smart Lead, which is the sequencer that has the auto inbox rotation for those listening. And that does the automatic warm up of your in domains as well. So you're using Smart Lead to do the warm up of these new domains so they look like real accounts. And then after that, like, are you using anything like when people respond, right? Like, what's it look like from there? Because this is where I fall off, right? Like, I get responses, I set up meetings, and that's probably the ultimate goal. But like, what am I missing in that whole process?
I'll tell you that depends on the kind of agency side. Like, I love JC product that I've been releasing. I don't know if we should talk about it. I don't know if it's still in beta, but he has an amazing product on the agency dashboard level that integrate with Smart Lead, Cloudflare, and that do all the DNS DMARC set up automatically.
Yeah.
That is just an awesome tools. But on the client side, I'll tell you, it depends on the client. Some of them want really to respond to each individual client. We give them access to the master inbox through Smartly, then they can respond to client. Others just want to get a webhook from their Slack so they know when they have to respond. But it just varies. Like I don't have a set framework. It really depends. But most of them like to respond directly to clients just because we're only taking clients that have a kind of high ticket prices, and therefore they just want to make sure there's this white glove kind of a personalized touch when it comes to the response.
Yeah, and what is your, and this is probably a very broad question, but like sequence recommendations. Like I'll tell you, I should actually pull this up and show you, but I have one email going out. This is crazy, man. I have a one email in Smart Lead / Instantly, and this one email I've sent to, like, it's got a 2% reply rate, not the best. However, of that, I'm a one man show. I've set up in the past 4 weeks 136 meetings.
Are you looking for a job? I'm married, man.
Look,
That's crazy.
I'll show you the dashboard. It was crazy.
It's crazy. I'm excited to talk to you about it because actually you the G when it comes to lead magnet, and that was probably like the main point when you just mentioned like sequence recommendation, because realistically, and this is I'll only talk for our agency. Realistically, 85 to 95% of the responses we're getting will be coming from email 1 and 2. Anything after that, you're just taking risk on that being tagged as a spam. So for us, we're putting all the firepower in email 1. Straight up the best thing we can come up with. We're editing with so much relevance, so much personalization that we pretty much use little to no spin tags, because almost no two emails are similar. As I mentioned, we did so much research on the account research of each contacts that we know that emails are not going to be similar whatsoever. So pretty much we can tell them how we know them. We show them that we know what they do, who they're serving, who's on their team. We can, as I mentioned, we can mention customer by name, reference experience. Then right off the bat, I love the Poke the Bear framework by Josh Brown. So we're asking them, are they tackling a particular problem? And I think the most important thing coming to 2023, 2024 is the lead magnet in your first email. And I think that's what makes the difference. In our agency, we're seeing crazy response when the first email is leading with lead magnet. Because if we show people that we know them, that we exactly know who they're serving, and when we actually know what's their problem, and by the way, because we know they have the problem, we're actually coming up with a small way, a complete solution to a narrow problem, and we're giving them away for free, they're just losing their mind. They're like, how the hell? And you know what? The best thing I think in this particular case that we actually experimenting is that we don't ask anything else. We're just like, hey, by the way, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. I know you might have this particular problem. And I'm just coming up with a solution for you. Do you want it? Yes or no? All I want is create a conversation, And a lead magnet is just a complete solution to another problem. And our idea is that it's not coming from me, from Alex or Mozi. A person who pay with their time now is more likely to pay with their money later. So that's kind of how we're coming up with our first emails, like what we can provide value to the recipient, so much value they would be willing to pay for it, but we're giving it away for free. And yeah, we're just asking if they would be interested in receiving it. So that's for email 1.
In email 1, I've seen some stuff, like some interesting stuff I've tried, right? Which is like, if we think about Distribute, which is a product to help you create lead magnets, or basically microsite pages that capture data, get you basically lead magnets, right? And so with that, what I've tried in the past with email 1 that's worked super well, I actually couldn't even keep up, because I was like, hey, I reached out, and one of them was like, hey, why it looks like your business does this and this. I want to create you a lead magnet that will help you get leads from social media, LinkedIn specifically. And they would say yes. So within 24 hours, what I would do is I would turn around, and what I would do is just use GPT to build out the lead magnet, and then add a conversion like event on top, like or like an email gate or something, right? And that was beautiful. And then from there, you're right. Like that's what worked for me, is then that would start the conversation of like, how'd you do this? How would you scale this? How does this work? And that gets people actually talking. I've had some friends do I've seen some friends do like YouTube thumbnails, right? Where they have an agency that does like a bunch of YouTube stuff. So they'll do like, oh, hey, we'll create you a free YouTube thumbnail for a potential video you can make. So they're just giving the main thing, a piece of their main offering to them for free, right? And saying, hey, look, like we're willing to give in order to get, is basically reciprocity, right? At the end of the day, that's like basically what it is.
Absolutely. I think it, you know why I think it came up. There is just a rise of those. It's just because people are just surfing way too hard on the guarantee side of things. They're like, the guarantee, like, if I don't give you $1 million in the next 30 days, like, and we work for free. Like, there's just so much crazy guarantee nowadays that just do not make sense. That just like, they just sound so unrealistic that the only way you can prove that you're trustworthy is by giving away a piece of your work for free. And you know what? The market going to always judge you what you're providing for free. And people are going to be like, hey, if you give me that thing so for free, and it's just so freaking good, can only imagine what the paid thing might be. And that's just the way you can build trust, I think, with cold email in 2024 right now. Just like showing that you are who you claim you are.
There was this era where we tried to throw a million freaking tools at things to like do outbound and do all this crazy stuff and like get meetings and all this. And I think we over engineered a lot of it from a high level, right? I mean, we're going to have to go into engineering how to just make an email go into the inbox soon, but like at a different level, what I mean is we try to get all these different tools that would just do the same thing in a different way, right? There was like, oh, we'll send a cold email from this system and this system, but at the end of the day, what's underneath there is all the same. And what's interesting about that is how we're coming full circle to back to basics within what we're doing, right? Which is like reciprocity.
It's human psychology. It's all, to be honest, it's all it is. It's just human psychology.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? It's like when I was starting on this cold email journey, like on the cold email pirate journey with multiple domains and all this stuff, I was like, shoot, like trying to overthink sequences just because I came from outreach, right? And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this 7-step sequence, and the third step is going to be this thing, and and then here I am now with this great sequence that it has one email in it. I don't even do a follow-up.
To be honest, we do that. I'll tell you, you're probably right. We do the max we do just because we have to like justify that we're trying, and sometimes that makes sense, and we have to justify that, okay, somebody might be out of the office, somebody might be sick and some stuff like that. So we never know, we never do more than 4. And to be honest, email 1 is what we talked about. Email 2 is like, we're actually going to go a step forward and deliver the actual result of the lead magnet, because they're like, okay, maybe they like this saying it too much. So we're actually delivering the result so they can see, hey, you didn't say yes, but we're still giving it to you. Check it out. Just because we want to show them the quality of our service or what we're doing. Then from there, say, hey, if after that we have no response, we're going on a total different angle with email 3. Like, okay, let's reassess. What's the pain point? We actually say, hey, if there is like something we're missing, is there a different pain point? Do you have a different problem? Like, we're literally trying to understand something else, because if the link magnet didn't work, maybe there's not the right pain point for the specific contacts. And then email 4 is just a breakup email. We're still trying to provide some value in the email 4, and we're just letting them know that, hey, we're here if you ever need us, and we're trying to provide another different kind of value.
Dude, I was at an event the other day talking to like other like CEOs or, like pretty like 100-person plus companies, right? And they were asking me about the cold email stuff, because they're like, hey, you come from outreach, like, where do you think this is going? And this is before the whole drama came out with like the limits and stuff. And everyone was like, we're thinking of what to do with SDRs and how to think about the SDR team, because is it really working, right? Like all this stuff, like, and not that SDRing doesn't work. It's just, it doesn't work when you're just trying to do volume and send shit, right? Like, is what I think. So do I think having SDRs is dead? No, like, I think SDRs are amazing, but I think they're going to have to be very targeted, very a little bit more jack of all trades when it comes to this whole outbound process, right? Not just like doing a task and then going to the next and going to the next and going to the next, because we can automate that, right? And does that work? But they're going to have to be a little more strategic. But anyways, going back to this, they were asking me what goes on, and I look at them and I go, let me throw this question back at you. What do you do with most of the emails you get in your inbox? Because you probably get hundreds per day. And they go, honestly, I do two things. I block, I mark as spam, and I block.
100%.
They take it a step further than mark as spam. They just block. And then I go, one guy asked, I go, really? So like, what if it's actually important? And the CEO goes, if it's that important, someone else on my team would bring it to me because they'll know it's a problem that should be solved right now. Right.
And that's
and
why
like,
personalizations make so much sense. And you need to be relevant. Personalization has so much level that people cannot imagine for a sec that a human didn't wrote that message.
Yeah. And so it goes back to like, you have to almost be like a sniper now, like, right?
Yeah.
Like with the problem, a sniper with the problem. And you have to say, hey, like, I know you're dealing with this because maybe you heard from someone or shit. It's a common, like, every B2B SaaS company right now is trying to figure out like what to do with cold email just because of the trend, like, well, you would hope. Right.
It kind of break their mind when I told them that I send more email than entire SDR department in a single day that they send in an entire month. That just break their mind when I show them dashboard. Hey, we send more email than you guys sent we sent in a single day than they send in a single month.
And it's all personalized, right?
It's all personalized, and you would not make the difference between what you guys sent and what I sent. And we cost like $5,000 a month. Like, it's just like it's kind
crazy.
It's just break their mind, and they're like, okay, I have like 45 SDR on my team. Well, what do I do? I'm like, well, that's the problem you have to figure out. But
this is a question I have for you. What do you think about setting up this like inbox rotation system for each person, like in an org, like for different people of an org?
No, I think for big organizations, it's kind of hard because then the IT guys get involved and they're just like, I don't understand why you want to create the 250 domains. It doesn't make sense. Security. And they're just like starting being freaked out and they're just like working against us. And I'm like, and it's just too much. Yeah, it's not worth it. There's many ways we're doing it for agency, like based on the amount that, of the time we just plan a certain amount of inboxes that we obviously split. But then if you have to think about in my opinion, what SDR and A's should be doing right now is really social selling. Like be on LinkedIn, post stuff. We work together where when I contact people, you automate the visit of their LinkedIn profile. You start commenting on stuff. Like we have to work together because otherwise it's not gonna, you won't be able to beat us in terms of volume and personalization.
Yeah. And I think, it's something that I found in doing my kind of old cold email journey here is of all those meetings that I set, I don't even think it's because the first email, most of it.
It's because of your LinkedIn profile.
Exactly. It's crazy.
It's insane. Like, I'll tell you something. I have a client right now. She's just killing it on LinkedIn. I send the email, like half of the response are like, I check you on LinkedIn. This is wild what you're doing. Can we talk? Can you help me? And I'm like, well, I just should send the link. And I'm like almost tempted to send the LinkedIn profile in the first email. By the way, guys, don't do that. It's a bad idea. Don't listen to me. She just have like 50 or 70,000 followers. She just put viral content over and over again. People check out and they check the legit. That's why like your LinkedIn presence is everything as well. Like make sure you're over there and you show that, you're putting content, you're relevant, people like what you're doing. Like it builds trust. Like it's all about, trust, and the way you present yourself on LinkedIn nowadays is just everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's what so I tell people the magic duo in all the cold email, I always tell people, what the most important thing is in any cold email system? It's not the subject line. It's not what's in the body. It's the name that it's coming from. Because if Enzo emails me, I'm going to open it because I'm like, that's my boy Enzo. Or if say I didn't know you when we weren't on this podcast, but it's someone I follow, Alex Hormozy, right? If I never, I'm on his like email distro list and all that stuff. But like if he emailed me, if Alex Hormozy emailed me, and I saw Alex Hormozy and it looked like a real email, I'm going to open that fucking thing, right? Sure. Like I'm going to open it because I know who that is, right? I know the name. And so going back to that, like, I think what's worked for me is not that, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here because people are like, how are you doing it? How are you doing it? And I'm like, honestly, how I'm doing it is you're building trust on like LinkedIn, you're providing valuable content there. And then if your name, people know you by name, if your name lands in their inbox, you're already 50% of the way there because they're going to open it.
100%.
Right. And so I'm like, that's the real secret, I think, in this whole thing.
And mine seems like I agree with you 100%. It must seem like some vanity metrics or something. Maybe I'm a bit shallow, but when I go on the LinkedIn, I see 100,000 followers. I'm like, probably the guy has something interesting, like figure out something interesting about life. Because to have 100,000 followers on LinkedIn, I think that's your number that you have, something like that.
Yeah, it's like 170 or something like that.
I'm like, okay, this guy probably know a thing or two about what he's doing because he has such a crazy amount of people. So he might have something interesting. It's just the truth, you know. He's posting consistently. He has great people engaging on his comment. Like, it just helps so much.
Yeah, and this is why I've been preaching to people. Like, man, and dude, every CEO right now, I've been telling, like, this is what you have to do. Like your thing right now should be posting on LinkedIn every day. Even if you get a freaking ghostwriter, dude, go get a ghostwriter, right? And then complementing that with cold email. I promise you, it will work. Like,
yeah, for sure. We are adding it to our package right now in our agency.
Perfect.
Like
I was just gonna say that.
We're literally adding in a package because like just makes like, and we see so disgusting LinkedIn all the time. Like, okay, it's gonna be hard, but now we're like, okay, let's offer this as a package, and then at least we know where we're going with this, and that also help the client on the commitment on the long term. Say, okay, we're gonna grow that thing together. They're really invested in me, so I kind of like it as well.
Where I was going with this is I was like, you, like, as the agency helping with cold email, you should actually do that as part of the package, right? Because I think it would be even like, again, an idea, but that would fucking skyrocket it, right? It's going to take time on the LinkedIn side, of course, but like, that's something that, you'll have to spin to them and tell them, because a lot of people today, that's the big sell is like, hey, we're going to do this work, but you have to be patient. This isn't like overnight success,
100%.
Yeah.
But it's just the name of the game. And I think what people underestimate is that I think LinkedIn is today what Instagram was like 5-6 years ago. I still think we're just getting started. And you need to get on a train right now, because like in 5 years from now, it's going to be completely different. And it's going to be hard to get traction.
Yeah, just like any network, right? It like just becomes saturated, right? And I think, man, I am. It's already getting a little harder, right? No, I still am very bullish on LinkedIn. I mean, right, yeah. But it is getting harder because a lot of people are realizing, holy shit, like LinkedIn's amazing for like actually making money, right? And like if your goal is to like use social as a tool to make money, which that's how I look at it, right? Like. If I was a billionaire, would I be hanging out on LinkedIn? Probably not, right? Let's be honest. I use social media as a tool. Like 100%. That's why I use it. I use it as a tool. So like, with that, the way I think about it is like, it's amazing. And so, look, I've helped creators become creators and all that. But every time I see someone post like, hey, why am I not getting engagement anymore? And I'm like, because you can't post a picture of your food anymore and like expect to get 100 likes, like that the game is changing because now you have a little more competition coming, and it's still very scratching the surface right now, but you need to like figure out all the basics. We won't get into the hooks, the formatting, all that. Right. Anyways, now we're preaching to the choir, but I just think that is the magic duo, man, that not enough people talk about.
I think the company that is, and you know them pretty well, more than anybody else, but the one that is scaling on LinkedIn is definitely Limblist. Those guys are like monsters.
Oh, yeah.
They're ridiculous. I love Lavender as well. They're like killing it, but Limblist is just like straight up savage. I mean, they have the tool. They know what's up. They know. You sold them the tool that they need to know to get the job done. So they got the inside out. They know like, okay, we got any tool now, we can do what we want. Those guys are like, I don't see anybody else with better company brand, even individual brands. And it's just interesting. It's not just Guillaume. It's almost everybody in the organization at some high level. They're just like all killing it.
They're all content people, dude. They're all content people. Yeah. They all like every time someone from Limblist posts, it's fire. It's like
It's just
it.
straight up fire.
Yeah, it's fire. It's
Crazy.
just like who's the kid? I forget his name that does like the cheat sheet stuff.
Oh, the head of growth? Is that
Yeah,
Luke? No.
is it
Oh, he talked
Luke?
to me
It's
the
one
other
of
day. I forgot his name. I'm not gonna look it right now, but I know who you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah. He does. He's the cheat sheet guy.
Yeah,
Just
Chichi guy.
there it is.
You know, you
Cheat
say
sheet
the
guy.
Chichi guy. We know who you are. This is how
Yeah,
good you are. We don't cheat it. We know who you are. It's
yeah. We
crazy.
know the cheat sheet guy. Like we know who he. Yeah, and like he's freaking amazing, dude. And like every time he posts something, I'm like fire. I'm just like it's amazing. And
Yeah.
so yeah, they that team is they're crushing it. So when I think about distribute myself, I think one of my qualifications for as we build this team, I'm going to do the same thing. Like that, like it's almost like you're gonna have to be a content person, man. Like, like if you're a salesperson, content. If you're marketing, you have to be doing content because that is the part of the puzzle today. Is like creating that valuable stuff, which is why you see, and this is a good transition. Why you see like Hormozy, I don't know what he said. He said this publicly. He spends like 150K a month on like a content team or
Yeah,
something
he has a
crazy.
crazy major team.
Yeah,
Like,
he has like some crazy amount he spends. I think it was like over 100,000 a month or something.
yeah, but what he did is that we did an interesting thing. The first 6 months that we were planning the media thing is that he actually hired an agency and kind of told them straight up, hey, listen, we're going to learn everything you do for the next 6 months. We're going to pay high price. We want to learn everything else. Then we're going to bring our people copying whatever you did for us.
Oh,
So, and then
really?
from there,
Okay.
yeah. And then from there, he just like built his own thing and just what, and, he's like, I'm paying high price for the best guys out there. So just like,
Yeah,
does what he
crazy.
does.
And so for those listening, Enzo, let's talk a little bit about this, man. Is you helped Hormozy on his last book launch, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, on the cold email part. So what was the strategy?
It was kind of like, hey guys, we want like we want to make this challenge, and we kind of have who can set us the most people showing up to the book launch. I'm like, okay, let's do it, guys. And to give you the idea, that was 5 weeks, and I started at like number 12 worldwide. After the first week, I climbed to number 1 worldwide at the last 3 days. Then the guy from publishing.com showed up with his contact list of million people and just took my spot in like 48 hours. And it was a joke. I was like feeling so pissed. And then I ended up like second worldwide. So we sent him like 6,978 leads in 5 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you the play. You know what? You have the exclusivity worldwide because I haven't recorded the video on my YouTube channel yet, but it's gonna come out next week. I'll try to summarize it like quite fast for you.
Yeah. And then we'll watch the breakdown on your YouTube.
Yeah, you can go on my YouTube video. By the way, Alex showed up on the YouTube video on my YouTube channel and decided to talk with me about Cold Irish and invite a couple of guys. So if you guys want to check it out, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
So the idea was, okay, when we saw Alex, we were like, how did this guy build his brand? And that was kind of the first kind of way we were thinking about how this guy build his brand. Where are we going to find people that are interested in learning more about acquiring leads from Alex Hormozy? And what we did is like, we actually listened to all his podcasts that he ever published since 2016. And we noticed kind of a pattern. We noticed that he always goes on people that have huge audience, people that usually fall under the umbrella of self-development. And there's something else that we noticed, that he's always the richest person in the room. In only 2 other occasions, he was not the richest person in the room in all the podcasts he ever did. So he's positioning himself as an authority figure, as the one that have the knowledge on how you can make a lot of money. Other than that, he's always the richest guy. And you're always targeting people with huge amounts of audience in the self-development space. So we thought about it. What the self-development people love, why they would be interested in Alex. And something that the hypothesis that we had was like, those guys are, one thing for sure, dopamine addict. When you like your podcast, you're listening to your podcast every day. You're like almost like a religion. Everybody likes his little podcast. Everybody's listening on the way to work all the time. And we made the assumption that, okay, if this is true, where those guys hang out? Well, it's kind of hard to. It would be impossible to scrape like Spotify listeners of the podcast Alex been on.
Mm-hmm.
But we assume that if those guys are actually true fans, would they follow the actual podcast on LinkedIn? So what we did is that we picked up all the podcast hosts that Alex been on for the past 24 months, and we scraped all the LinkedIn followers of the podcast host on LinkedIn. And we came up with like a crazy number, like I think 150,000 emails. And the idea was the following. I'll give you one play that we did because we did like 6 to 7 of them. The one that we did was, for example, like Stephen Bartlett, Diary of the CEO. We were like, because let's think about it. Imagine the type of people that would be so in love with the podcast that they would follow on LinkedIn when you're not going to be able to listen to your podcast right on LinkedIn, but you're so passionate about this guy that you're still following him on LinkedIn. You're a fan. You're a true fan. You're not just the average Joe. You're like a true fan because you're following the guy on LinkedIn. He's never going to put a video, an audio of his podcast on LinkedIn, but you're still following him. So we know that you're probably one of the best guy. So we're like, okay, let's assume that. So, for example, Stephen Bartley, Diary of the CEO, and this email sequence was like, hey, first name, glad to see another listener of Diary of the CEO. So right off the bat, we're like, hey, we're the same. We're listening to the same stuff. We're exactly the same, right? Mm-hmm. What was this email? Let's listen to the CEO. It looks like you target, looking at your LinkedIn profile, I'm just trying to remember, looking at your LinkedIn profile, it seems like you're targeting that kind of people and you're helping them with that particular product. So first line, we're telling them that you're listening to this show. And by the way, it looks like you're targeting this kind of people and that you help them with that and with that particular product and service. We told them, by the way, do you know Alex Somosi? He was in episode 235 of Diary of the CEO, and I actually have the framework he used to send 20,000 leads per day, to generate 20,000 leads per day. Are you interested in having this? And the interesting things we did, we actually tagged, most important thing, we actually look in the list of Stephen Bartlett, Diary of the CEO, all people that have sales, business development, revenue strategy, leads, everything about generating revenue, because we want to make sure that the lead magnet makes sense for them, because those guys probably will be interested in learning how to generate 20,000 leads per day. So right off the bat, we let him know, we know who you listen to, we let them know who you're targeting, how you're helping them, and we're giving you something that is related to your job that might interest you. And in case you don't know who's Alex Somosi, we're telling you there was in your favorite guy podcast and episode 235 that you probably listen. So you have the testimonial, you have it makes sense. If my favorite guy is invited this guy on the show, it must be legit. And this guy is willing to give me the recipe that he's using to get 20,000 leads per day, and that makes so much sense for my job. Why would I say no to that? And we're like, P.S. By the way, Alex is launching his book. I'll send you to I'll send you two of his under his chapter for free. Let me know if you're interested. They respond, and we send them like the booking link, they sign up, and that's it.
Wow. And that was like, and again, all the responses were from that one, most of them from that first email.
Here's the thing with, most of them were the first email, sometimes the second, but most, like I will tell you, 80 to 95% were the first one. But that was a crazy number. We're talking about, we sent like 600,000 emails, like in 5 weeks. It was crazy.
Wow. And were they all coming from him? Like, what was it, his name that they were coming from? Or was it from like the from name? Because he was trying to.
The from name, like
from?
No, it was like random domains. It was not from Alex. It was not from Alex. We couldn't use. No, we couldn't use his name. No, we were not allowed to do that because he didn't share. We didn't see what we were sending. No, we have like a bunch of domain and we are sending from the domains. What mattered, and the domain was just redirecting to our
main
landing
website
page. So they were like, either way they were checking, they were able to sign up right away. Or, they were like, oh, episode 235. They're just checking, oh, geez, the guy is legit. Let me sign up.
Wow. That's crazy. So you sent him about 7,000 leads or 6,900 or 6,978, I think is what you said. And that's insane. 5 weeks. And it goes back to that email that you just described, which was you pretty much were like, hey, we know who you are. And here's something free of value that we know you freaking love.
Yeah.
Is the lead magnet play, right? Like it was the lead magnet play. Like
essentially,
it's all the lead magnet. it's all the lead magnet. It's like giving them something of like that they can use to educate themselves or learn more. Not asking, hey, can we get 15 minutes or like get their time? No, 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 that doesn't work. And the other interesting play you did is you like rented the audience of someone else, right? In
Seventy
order to
percent
do that.
Yeah, 70% of what we do in our agency is like just focus on the ICP. Just focus on the ICP because that will make most of the job. If you have the right ICP, that will just save most of the job you have to do. Like we're not trying to sell
Yeah.
like a ribeye at a vegan festival. Like we're trying to get extra narrow to a guy that just like would die. And we know those podcast guys are dopamine addicts. All they want is just getting the extra edge, just trying to get more productive. They're trying to get the extra edge constantly, and we're just giving them what they want.
Yeah, interesting. So you're looking at like the habits of the ICP too, right? So you're kind of like, okay, the ICP of Steven probably has a lot of overlap of Hormozis because they're trying to get better. They're trying to listen to CEOs and be more productive. And yeah, interesting, man. That's crazy.
And we did that for everybody. For my first
Yeah.
million podcast, we did that for Chris Williamson podcast, Tom Bellew. We have all of those guys.
Well, man, we're at about time here, Enzo. So, where can people find you? How can they work with you? Like, what you give us a spiel there on that, so that way people know.
Okay, yeah, you guys can find me on LinkedIn, Enzo Carasso. I think my name's gonna appear down there. You can also find me on YouTube, Enzo Carasso. So
Yeah,
hit me up.
Yeah, and on YouTube, you give away a lot of more of your email secrets, right? Of like,
Yeah,
hey,
I just started
here's
my first video with actually when I interview Alex. Like first we got 20,000 views. It's crazy. I'm still like I launched it like 7 days ago. It's kind of wild.
Wow.
And then I'm just gonna add videos every week. Just giving like secrets, workflow, strategy, everything we just talked about, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I'll be there. I'll be watching, man. You got a sub here, all right? And
I
so
appreciate it, Andy. I appreciate it, Andy.
Well, thank you, man.